Disclaimer, the characters and events of BOREDCAR exist in a fictional lore, and only reference real people, companies, or events for parody and entertainment.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me double time time!
After kicking the season off at a track that is often considered to be the great equalizer of stock car racing, Daytona International Speedway, the BOREDCAR Rocket Graphics and Media Cup Series heads to one of the toughest tracks on the schedule, Circuit of the Americas, for round 2 of the season, where the best drivers will truly get a chance to shine. Hello everybody watching on from Trash Sports. My name is Random Guy up here in the broadcast booth, and I am joined once again by my broadcasting partner and good friend, Cal Zimmerman.
What's up, folks?
Ben Okimura unfortunately couldn't make it. His balls got frozen when he went to the Bears game last night, which W Bears, by the way. So Ben Okimura is getting that sorted out in the hospital, and Lucas White is still on vacation in, I believe I said the Bahamas at Rockingham, but he's still there. So it's just me and Cal today for what should be quite the interesting race on our hands. The Daytona 500 itself was quite a weird race because it ended up being essentially a fuel mileage race at a super speedway, which is just one, unheard of, and two, really not fun to watch. But in the end, the victor was this driver. Avery Callahan in the number 54 Monster Energy Kia for LW Racing managed to hold the fuel long enough to cross the line and take Daytona 500 victory, putting herself at the top of the board in terms of the points standings and giving herself a really great start to the championship, but also showing that her team has a bit of a strategic side to it, can really time out that fuel and make sure that they can make it on a one-stop strategy, which I think is going to be big for them as the season progresses, especially with just how random races can be and how that can really throw, the conventional strategy out the window. So I think the fact that Avery Callahan and their crew could figure out how to save enough fuel at a super speedway of all places really shows that they can be a versatile team. Moving along, another driver that is certainly going to be hungry for a win today is this driver, Adam Moore, in the number 0, now rocking the Sundrop colors. It's not a half bad scheme, actually. Definitely going to be hungry for a win. He was running second, coming to the white flag of the Daytona 500, could have challenged Avery Callahan for that victory coming right down to the line, but unfortunately, that 0 car ran out of fuel coming to the last lap and had to duck into pit road, and as a result, Adam Moore not quite able to compete for a win like he would have liked to. So he is definitely going to be looking for an opportunity to do what he couldn't do last week and try and walk away with a dub here in race 2 and ultimately take the points lead away from Avery Callahan. Take that points lead away from Avery Callahan. We'll see if Adam Moore can do that. Another driver to be watching out for is, of course, the pole sitter, which is going to be Bon Voyage today in the number 6 Air France Kia. We didn't really see a whole lot of Voyage in the Daytona 500, but looking to make a statement today as he starts on the pole and continues the streak of Okimura Motorsports Kias starting on the pole position. If you watched the 500 last week, you'll know that George Washington was our pole sitter, and now his teammate will be starting up here on the front row. There's one more driver that I want to find, and then I'll turn it over to my broadcasting partner, Cal, if there's any drivers that he's kind of been following as this weekend has progressed. But it is all the way back here, and that is starting dead last in the field, actually, Shane Van Gisbergen. I don't know if that's because he didn't get out to qualify or what the deal was, but Van Gisbergen was a driver poached by Forward Motorsports from the V8 Supercars world after the 2004 season, because BOREDCAR canonically takes place in 2005. So Van Gisbergen making his first road course start in a stock car. The Daytona 500, again, much like Voyage, didn't really hear a whole lot from him, but he is likely to be a favorite just given his supercars background, and we'll see if that 97 machine can work its way up the order today, starting dead last on the field. So, Cal, is there any drivers that I haven't mentioned that you've kind of just been watching as this weekend has progressed?
I can't really think of anyone in particular. I might just be watching my buddy Frank.
Yeah, Frank Ford, the guy who he's referring to in the number 27, driving for Bremerhaven Racing. Frank Ford hails all the way from Germany, so probably some GT experience under his belt, or no experience, we're not really sure. So maybe keep an eye on Frank Ford today. Cal certainly will be. Anyways, I mentioned this previously that Avery Callahan was your points leader. Adam Moore trying to maybe take that lead away if he can just hold enough fuel to finish the race on one stop like everybody else. So let's, for a moment, head over to the standings and take a look at where all of the drivers sit going into today's race. All right, folks, so here we are in the very professional BOREDCAR Cup Series Season 2 points docket. Very professional, guys. Definitely not using a free website that's plastered with ads everywhere. But as you could probably guess by only having one race this season, the points standings is pretty much the same as the Daytona 500 race results. So Avery Callahan on top of the board, Adam Moore in second, looking to try and take that top spot away. Dennis Prunty is third, Kyle Larson in fourth, and William Cunningham the third. Round out your top five in the point standings. The only exception to this rule, well, there's two exceptions, really. The first is George Washington, who finished a little farther down than is depicted here. Hopping over to the Discord, he finished 35th, but will ultimately holds a 30th place standing just because of those 5 extra points you get for qualifying on pole position. And then the last driver that's in a different spot, or really just in a different point standing, is Chase Briscoe, who DNF'd and as a result did not collect any points in Daytona. So Briscoe looking to put some points on the board at the end of today's race here at COTA. However, that may be easier said than done, just for the fact that COTA can be a hectic track. You have a lot of guys running in the back of each other as they're jockeying for positions, maybe even spinning each other out. It is definitely going to be a wild race to watch. But that is everything in terms of the points. So when we come back, we will have your starting lineup, and then following that, the start of the BOREDCAR race here at Circuit of the Americas. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the broadcast. I think we've covered all the major pre-race stories. Cal, is there anything else that you think we should add before getting into this? I'm going to take the silence as a no, because silence speaks volumes, or some motivational crap like that. Heard it at some consultants meeting for Trash Sports. I wasn't paying attention. But with all that said, let's get down into your starting lineup for today's race here at COTA. As we mentioned in the pre-race, Bon Voyage in the number 6 Air France Kia is starting on the pole for Okimura Motorsports, and his outside will be Owen Ben in the number 88 BTR Network Dodge. Behind row number 1 is going to be one of OB's teammates, that's Shelby Ben in the 02 BTR Dodge. And her outside is going to be Sammy Mills in the number 14 Jack in the Box Pontiac. Behind them is Whit Young in the number 61 and Jet Callahan in the 19, followed by Maggie Splitzer and Wayne Kerr here in the 10. Then rounding out your top 10 is Sienna Vale in the number 11 and Jeremy Ticklefart in the number 51 Global X Ford. Behind them is forward-backward in the 4 Chester Igiana in the 98, followed by Wayne Tittons and Chester Bennington. Behind them is going to be Kyle Lejean and Ryan Pumpeltick, followed by Melissa Elysia in the 21 and AJ Ullman digging my ass in the 16. Following them is going to be Avery Callahan in the number 54, your Daytona 500 winner, looking to go back-to-back and really extend her points lead. And then to her outside is Kyle Larson in the 42. Behind them is Adam Moore in the 0, finished second, looking to try and avenge his Daytona performance today with a win in COTA. And then his outside is George Washington, your first pole sitter of the season, now starting deep in the field in that 67. Behind them is going to be Jamie McMurray in the 1, Steve Meeks in the 24, followed by Cletus Earnhardt and Ross Chastain. Behind them is Chase Briscoe and Dennis Prunty, followed by Frank Ford and Alex Prunty. Behind them is going to be Sheldon Males in the 94, David Bazuki in the 8, row of largely black cars right there. Behind them is Dave Pepperback in the number 17 Napa Auto Parts Dodge, and to his outside is Lee Maddox in the number 40 Reese's Chevy. Behind them is Phil Lurseat, William Cunningham III, Chihiro Fujisaki, Blue Spy, Philip McCrack, who dominated the Clash, looking to kind of get his mojo back here on a non-super speedway. And then his outside, Chuck Aggo in the 85, and then rounding out your field for today's event, Walker Jones in that number 5 Cummins Dodge, and then to his outside, Shane Van Gisbergen in the number 97 Red Bull Ford. Again, his supercars background should give him a bit of an edge here at Circuit of the Americas. So that is it for your starting lineup. When we come back, we will have the field rolling off, and we'll be ready to get underway for BOREDCAR race number 2. All right, folks, welcome back to the broadcast. As you see, the pace car now leading the field around, getting ready to take the green flag for 21 laps here at COTA. Should be a one-stop race well within that range, unlike Daytona. And I mentioned this a little bit, but expect a lot of chaos. Guys kind of running into the back of each other, spinning each other out as they're diving into these corners, jockeying for positions and fighting hard to really pick up whatever they can to, again, really try and get their seasons on par to make a run at the championship. It is a full season points format, so every race and every position does count. Cal, is there anything else you'd like to add before we get into this race?
Well, God forbid, for once, they'll have to turn right, and I'm assuming that some people are just going to get a run right off the track because of that.
I would wholeheartedly expect that, especially in the tight braking zones. Another thing to watch out for is drivers running wide. These cars aren't the greatest handlers, so expect the drivers to get their grubby little Goodyears on every inch of pavement they can. Well, Daytona International Speedway, often considered the great equalizer when it comes to stock car racing, and Circuit of the Americas, can't imagine a better track to sort out the wheat from the chaff in terms of who's going to be the championship favorites for the for season number 2 of the BOREDCAR Cup Series. Bon Voyage bringing the field down towards the restart zone. See some of the back markers rounding the final corner there. Green flag is in the air. We are racing. As Bon Voyage gets a significantly better start than Owen Ben coming down into turn 1, expecting to fan out. 3-4 wide in the back you saw there. Somebody might have gotten spun, actually. Never mind. Looked like they might have, though. 4 wide into turn number 1, as you see right there in the Hornet's Nest. Bon Voyage gets away clean. Owen Ben holds on to second. Shelby Ben, Sammy Males fighting hard for that third spot now. It looks like the 14 will get ahead. Shelby Ben trying to come back in the S's. Big lunge around the outside. And cutting the corner there a little bit. That might be a questionable call. We'll see what the officials have to say. You see the field
slip.
Field rolling by on our static camera. Everybody still in line. Looks like Dave Pepperback actually may have gotten shuffled out somewhere as they wind their way up towards this very sharp braking zone leading onto the back straightaway. Watch out for somebody behind to maybe get punted, as you see some drivers running wide into the grass even. You watch Jeremy Ticklefart there. See what happens down in this corner. Contact, it looks like, between Wayne Kerr and Maggie Splitzer. Chester Igiana's way off the racing line. Contact there in the front. Couple drivers off the racetrack. And somebody sideways. Alex Prunty is down into the inside barrier. And he has stopped. Filler's seat with major hood damage. And there's Alex Prunty, who got absolutely just dumped going into that.
You won't be interrupting anyone else.
And it looks like Adam Moore was a little slow there. I don't know if he went in the grass or got held up by somebody. But Adam Moore will drop to the back. He's right on board with the number 0 Sundrop Chevy. It does not look like he took any damage, though, which is the good thing as they go into the braking zone. And Ross Chastain has been punted. Philip McCrack as well. As an absolutely hectic start to this one. Chastain with major rear end damage. He just got pile drive by somebody, and the caution is out. Absolute. I mean, it's just total madness. You're watching the leader, Bon Voyage, of course, here. Out on the track, perfectly fine. Owen Ben, same old song for a lot of the drivers up at the front, but the midfield, I mean, they were absolutely just brawling for every position. You can see damage. Both of the team riding hood Chevys. Phil Lurseat with major hood damage. David Bazuki has rear end damage. As all these cars racing back around to the caution flag.
I'm surprised he can't even see with hood dented that bad.
Yeah, let's actually go in the cockpit with Phil Lurseat. This is his view right now. Slightly suboptimal, I think, would be a good way to describe what Phil Lurseat can see as he's trying to cut to the inside of Dennis Prunty. So, we didn't even make it to lap 1 without a caution. I think that says a lot for how hectic the racing here has been. You can see Dave Pepperback with some damage. The million-dollar question, of course, is going to be which of these drivers come to pit road and which of these drivers stay out.
And my question is, who's going to pull for Max Verstappen on one of these curves?
I mean, I think we clearly saw several interested contenders, particularly whoever punted Alex Prunty, which, by the way, why don't we go back and take a look at that in the replay as the field is kind of pacing around here. All right, folks, we are here now in the Armory Digital Replay Console because Trash Sports couldn't make us our own replay console. And riding on board here with Alex Prunty, in the number 66 Culver's Dodge to figure out who the heck absolutely punted him. So we'll start out here riding on board with the 66. Going down into the tight braking zone. You have to be really careful here. Oh, and it looks like he just locked up the brakes and then I think got turned by Van Gisbergen. I can tell correctly, but Prunty's hits the cone. Absolute buffoonery there. For Prunty, we'll go back.
That also explains Steve Bazuki's rear end damage, too.
Yeah, so it looks like that was an Alex Prunty skill issue, but it does look like he gets hit by Van Gisbergen under braking. So he gets hit by Fujisaki. Yeah, so he gets hit by Fujisaki, slams into the back of Bazuki. That gets him loose and gets him sideways, and then Shane Van Gisbergen just kind of helps to finish the job. Don't know what's going on up here with Ross Chastain and Dennis Prunty either, but we are going to follow the 36 because the next corner gets really interesting for him. So it looks like Chastain tries to shove Prunty wide to really make sure he can get the position. Or Dennis Prunty, rather. As it looks like Adam Moore got spun exiting the corner. Take a look at how that happened. Oh, just coming out of the corner, Sheldon Males tries to dive it in 4 wide. And as they... Yeah, and as they try to all get a wide exit to get as much momentum carried as possible, just doesn't work out. Somebody had to give. That somebody was Adam Moore. Now watching Ross Chastain, who looks like he just gets pile drive going into this next braking zone. He's watching from the aerial coverage, still down hard on the brakes. And yeah, Philip McCrack just runs right into the back of him.
Turned into a sandwich.
Don't know what else you'd expect from a tow car driver, but that was that. So Philip McCrack just not able to really hop on the brakes, and as a result ran into the back of that 36. We'll get one last look, and this is the onboard camera of McCrack.
Almost easy to box in from off the corners there.
Yeah, zero craps given, just runs right into the back of the 36 and sends him spinning around. So a lot of chaos on the opening lap of this race here at COTA. Hopefully that won't happen when we go back live. And yeah, hopefully that won't happen for the rest of the race. All right, folks, welcome back to the live broadcast. You see the field closing the gap to the Pontiac pace car. And I would expect we will see pit stops during this caution cycle. Not from our race leaders. I think they're going to wait a little bit before coming down pit road. Specifically, I mean some of these drivers in the back with damage. I don't think Ross Chastain will come in. I would expect definitely Phil Lurseat because he's got some major hood damage. I don't know. I mean, possibly David Bazuki, Dave Pepperback, Ross Chastain, maybe even Alex Prunty. I could see all those guys maybe making pit stops, or somebody that, like, flat spotted their tires or something.
We'll name him Alex Punting now.
That's a good one. Yeah, Alex Prunty did try the punt there. Did not go in his favor whatsoever. Actually kind of backfired on him pretty horribly. The only reason he's not last right now is because Philip McCrack basically dumping Ross Chastain under braking, and then Adam Moore getting spun around in that 4-wide shenaniganry you saw on the replay console. The other thing, though, that I'm just now thinking about is this can make the fuel strategy quite interesting because, I mean, obviously you're probably not saving a whole lot of fuel as you're going around a road course, but you're certainly burning less going at this lower speed. So I'm interested to see if some drivers try to pit here and then just make it all the way on this stop right now. Again, I highly doubt that's what we're going to see, and I highly doubt that that's actually going to work. It seems like some folks might be trying it. No, everybody is doing the pit road fake out.
Who'd really be doing this road?
Don't know what is going on here.
I wouldn't recommend for him to pit, but I'm not down there, so I can't do anything.
Well, let's see. Let's watch Phil Lurseat here. See if he comes down. And he will. So Phil Lurseat coming to pit road. Kind of expected that, though. It looks like going to be Alex Prunty will be another taker, and that is going to be it. So 2 cars on pit road. They will lose
I'd
their...
do the same if I couldn't even see the tires of the cars in front of me.
Yeah, definitely. When you put it like that, Cal, makes this a really smart decision. You see Phil Lurseat coming into his pit stop. Looks like somebody else did come in. That was Kyle Larson in the 42, so Looks like Larson, just a standard pit stop for him. He'll jump to the back of the field, which is a dangerous place to be, as we saw on the race start. Hopefully with a single file restart, because we have no drivers one lap behind. And I highly doubt we're going to see drivers go a lap down at Circuit of the Americas of all tracks. This could potentially be a bold strategy call for sure. See, Filler's seat has no hood, or most of his front bumper anymore, for that matter. Basically driving
Seems a bit unsafe.
It's NASCAR. It's fine. But he's basically driving a modified now, just with closed off back wheels. And of course,
just let the engine breathe in the open air.
Well, he's certainly not going to have to worry about overheating now, is he? Alex Prunny, it looks like he's managed to keep his car intact. I actually don't really know what the 66 crew did to the car, but they did something. As Alex Prunny Filler's seat already catching back up to the field, but at this point, we have now already seen 2 laps go down the drain under caution. Probably going to see 4. I would imagine we'll get lights off when we come back around this time.
I admit that one corner is always kicking up a lot of dust.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. I really hope that we see the lights off this time and can get this race remotely underway. Bon Voyage still in the lead. Your top 5 has pretty much stayed the same. I think the only change was Jet Callahan jumping up to 5th over Whit Young in the 61. But other than that, top 4 remains unchanged. Bon Voyage, Owen Ben, Shelby Ben, and actually it looks like lights are going off right here, which is very convenient, actually. Really glad that the board car officials put their collective 27 brain cells together and decided that they can declare lights off about halfway through the course on like a 2.5-mile road course. So that's really great to see.
27 better not be an insult to my fellow down the track right now.
No, we love our board car officials.
No, I'm more so talking about Frank. He's got number 27. You say 27 brain cells.
We're not beefing about car numbers and brain cells. That's actually... we compiled the amount of brain cells because we had a question on the board car officials application of how many brain cells do you have, and the total number of all the applications for all the officials that come out here every week and watch these races that are either really bland or, I guess, a bit of a lap 1 wreck fest. That's pretty much been the theme so far for these first 2 seasons. The total brain cell count is 27. That is just...
statistics then.
That is just science. Hopefully they can grow more brain cells as the season goes on, but so far, putting those 27 brain cells to good use. So anyway, with that genius call, we are not going to see the first 4 laps of this race essentially go down the drain, as we'll be getting ready to go back racing as the field comes around to lap number 4. Bon Voyage still leads the way, only this time he doesn't have to worry about holding off that outside line as the field will single file it out. Voyage coming back down to the green. And we are back racing here at COTA. Pretty even start from the top 3. Looks like Sammy Mills lost a little bit of ground. You see Wayne Kerr trying to shoot it up the inside. Everybody's still fanning out, not as severely. Never mind, they were like 5 wide back there. Chester Igiana trying to make some moves. As working our way back up towards the front of the field. Top 3 largely stays as it is. Owen Ben in second. Got a big jump over Shelby Ben.
Still waiting on the Verstappen method for that part. You
see Wayne Kerr going to try and shoot it up the inside of Jet Callahan. This will be for the 5th spot, if the 10 can pull it off, because they both cleared Whit Young. Alright, this is the corner we need to watch out for. We'll see if everybody does the same old clown foolery. We're really hoping they don't.
We'll call it the Smoker's Lung corner, but how much justice getting picked up there.
Looks like everybody's gonna make it through. Never mind! Massive stack up! Melissa Elysia forgets how to drive a race car! And that is multiple drivers with major damage. I wouldn't be surprised if the caution has come back out again. We'll see what the word on the street is for the pace car, and it looks like it is still on pit road. As getting back
there
to the leaders. Yeah, so Melissa Elysia basically just shot herself and like 5 other drivers in the foot. AJ Allmendinger, my ass, is screwed up. Frank Ford is screwed up. Chester Bennington is screwed up. Wayne Titton's rear bumper is barely hanging on. That might be the biggest brain fart moment I have ever seen, and yeah, I've seen a lot of brain farts. I've even done some myself. But that 21's hood is basically a rolling billboard for STP, just as the 22's is a rolling for not doing self-harm. I don't know if I could say that on YouTube. Frankfurt is basically just a rolling billboard for steel, and AJ Allmendinger, my ass, selling some energy drink named Celsius. You might have heard of it. I don't know if you have. You might have. So I'd imagine these...
alcohol nose.
So I'd imagine these drivers will be coming to pit roads, particularly Elysia. And no, she is going to come into pit road. All right, she's not that stupid. Looks like Cletus Earnhardt is coming in as well. And Chester Igiana, who is all messed up. Avery Callahan, your Daytona 500 winner with damage 2, is on pit road. So absolutely disastrous corner by Melissa Elysia. And Shelby Benn is in the pits. So it looks like another bold strategy call where they're going to try and pit a little early and then make it all the way on fuel. That seems to be the consensus. There's a lot of drivers on pit road there with some pretty major damage. And there was an accident on pit road. Avery Callahan and AJ Allmendinger, my ass, made contact, and the 16 is done.
Are we joking?
Melissa Elysia is also done. Chester Bennington has retired alongside Frank Ford. So, Melissa Elysia just caused 3 DNFs because of that absolutely horrendous lack of driving ability. 4 retirements, sorry. As I forgot.
Still lucky to have that many drivers already.
Yeah, 38 drivers still in the race. Cletus Earnhardt, the last of them. Avery Callahan and Chester Igiana. I don't really think they're going to get back in the conversation for, you know, getting more than 1 point, but they'll at least get something. And that is a notion that, again, the 21, 22, 16, and 27 cannot say. In hindsight, Elysia actually did more damage to her entire team of Vifragor Racing because she functionally took out one of her teammates. And then, you know, alongside Ford and AJ, as we've decided to call him.
A mess.
Anyways, the battle for the lead is now raging between Owen Ben and Bon Voyage. We were watching this fight here for the 6th spot as Maggie Splitzer attempted to challenge Whit Young. Looks like might have ran into the back of the 61 car as well. They go on board with the 95. You can at least see that's something that a lot of drivers cannot say that they're able to do. It looks like the field has gotten single filed out and the pace car is not on the racetrack. So, yay. We made at least 1 full lap under green. Good job, guys. Bon Voyage still out in front. Owen Ben quite not in the position where he's able to challenge. And Bon Voyage was also the fastest driver by nearly a second. We'll see if that changes here on the fastest lap boards as they come back across the line. And it will not, albeit the gap is... Oh, actually, it has swung. Owen Ben now the fastest car on track. We'll see if he can use that to try and reel in the 6th car. 6/10 back. 3rd place is 2 seconds behind. That belongs to Sammy Males. As Jet Callahan and Wang Kerr now round out your top 5.
I see the field a lot more open now instead of just a big traffic jam.
Yeah, hopefully they should be able to actually hit the brakes this time.
And hopefully not cause a pileup like what had just happened.
Yeah, what just transpired. As you see, a couple more drivers, Shelby Ben, who came into pit road there. still out with the main pack, actually. Very good job there by the O2 crew. Looks like Maggie Splitzer came in, took care of that hood damage. She's now running a modified. Chester Agiana, Avery Callahan, William Cunningham III, it looks like, came down pit road as well. He does not have a hood, so damage for the 70 as well. And you see everybody else. Philip McCrack with damage as well.
Like a hot rod.
Yeah, running a lot of modifieds out here today. And Philip McCrack is the last car on track so far. Jumping back up to the leaders, Bon Voyage there, Owen Ben. He's going to be late on the brakes, get very close to the 6. We'll go on board here through the stadium section. This is the most technical portion of the track, and probably the best place to really get the elbows out and make a pass. Looks like Ben is going to lose Voyage there through the sweeping series of right-handers. Not quite able to reel him in. You see the 6 car using all the pavement they can. So coming down the front straightaway, we'll see what the margin is. And if it is either increased or shrunk, it looks like it is actually increased. It is actually doubled. Bon Voyage putting another 6/10 on Owen Ben. Now the gap 1.2 seconds, and Sammy Males is getting all over the back bumper of that 88 car. Did close the gap quite a bit there. Now it looks like that's starting to open back up. See, second and third trying to fight it out. Bon Voyage now, though, with plenty of real estate for himself. A lot of room between him and Owen Ben. Yeah, as Cal's mentioned, this field has gotten very spread out. The gap between first and 10th. First place, Bon Voyage. 10th place is Kyle Lejean in the 29. There he is 13 seconds, or it was that last lap. This field has really separated itself as this race has continued. But frankly, I think that's okay for a lot of these drivers because it means they're not going to get rear-ended and have to go into pit road to fix damages, which unfortunately some will not be able to say. And I'm actually quite curious to see if we'll catch some of those damaged cars, or some of the leaders will. Make things even more interesting, it looks like forward backward has gotten into the back of the 61 of Whit Young. Driver's still forgetting how to brake, but look at this, a clean pass. Jeremy Ticklefart lunges it up the inside, gets underneath Sienna Vale. He'll have the outside going into this first corner of the stadium section, but it looks like he's able to carry the momentum a little better. Sienna Vale with damage as well. That's not helping that 11 car out, as they're still side by side. And Ticklefart get the pass done here. Not quite. The 11's still staying with him. And anything having that run going into the right-handers as you see our aerial coverage. And Sienna Vale will remain clear. But it does appear that some drivers in this field do actually have racing etiquette, as Jeremy Ticklefart back on the inside. He's got a string of left-handers going into the long front stretch, so he might have a good shot here. Get the pass complete right up alongside the 11. Very clean, tidy racing, though. No contact so far.
Much more impression on the first being.
Absolutely. As we'll go in the cockpit with Jeremy Ticklefart, you can see the rearview camera, or see the rearview mirror, sorry. Again, still not able to get past Sienna Vale. The gap, meanwhile, between Owen Ben and Bon Voyage for first and second is widened to 2.5 seconds, as we've been talking about this. And looking now, Kyle Lejean trying to get it on the action, as Ticklefart will make the pass in the S's. So that seems to be the prime passing zone, is that S's section, where drivers can really just kind of throw the car into the corners.
If someone does the Verstappen method there, it certainly will give him a better lead, but I don't think the officials will really be happy about someone trying to do that.
Absolutely not. As down into the tight braking zone goes our leaders, which are top 5, which has remained unscathed, and then Whit Young and Forward Backard running 6th and 7th. You have Jeremy Tickleford, who we just saw make that pass Wraith. Ryan Pumpledick with a big lunge from behind. Takes Blue Spy. Looked like he was going to try and pass Wayne Tittins as well. Ryan Pumpledick advances his position. Actually, loses a spot overall in a lap, but he lost 2 positions, it looks like. Down into turn 1. He got one of them back on Blue Spy. Now trying to get back into 13th if he can pass the 48. It looks like he's going to go for it. Huge lunge on the inside. Hard on the brakes, and he'll get it done. Brilliant pass for Ryan Pumpledick. Brilliant string of passes there, really, for the 52. I guess that minor concussion he sustained from Rockingham actually put some brain cells in the right place. That was some really excellent little piece of racecraft there.
There's been some people who have gotten really good at things after having brain damage.
I guess every cloud really does have a silver lining. As getting back up to our top 5, it looks like Jack Callahan may try to do something on the 14 machine. Not quite. He's going to lose a lot of that momentum in the corner. We'll see if he tries to send up the inside. Up turn number 1. He's also got to watch out for Wayne Kerr behind. And nothing from any of those drivers. Stay tightened up. Owen Ben, though, starting to close the gap to Bon Voyage. And another thing, we're getting to about the halfway point of this race. I would expect a lot of these drivers to be making pit stops soon. Should be their one and only pit stop. But nevertheless. Watching Owen Ben, you see Bon Voyage there, another corner up ahead.
I think now's really the point that determines if Larson making that early pit stop is going to be worth it.
Yeah. Looking at the fastest lap boards, you can see that Bon Voyage is still faster than Owen Ben, but now 3rd, 4th, and 5th, which are all Toyota logos. But no, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Sammy Males, Jack Callahan, and Wayne Kerr are all faster than the top 2. None of them, though, have quite been able to get within striking distance to actually make a pass yet, and as such, the top 5 remains with Voyage and Ben the top 2. Or Owen Ben the top 2. Oh no, Wayne Kerr gonna ram the back of Jack Callahan, and that might be his race over. Saw that one coming. He was gonna brake way too late. Just did not remember that you need to pull the left-hand side if you're gonna try and lunge it up the inside of somebody. They can't just drive straight on and expect them to move out of the way. And
so they're driving billboard now, this time for Shell.
Yeah. You know, the drivers, I don't think, are going to be very happy about this race. I don't think the fans are going to be too appreciative of the fact that, you know, drivers just keep running into the back of each other and taking themselves out of contention. Especially with what Melissa Elysia did. But I've got to say, the sponsors must be having a ball today. Because they are certainly getting... Like, that's plain as day reading. You can see that. Wayne Kerr, unsurprisingly, heading to the pits after pile driving the 19 of Jet Callahan, and will forfeit most of his positions. He might, though, be in a good spot to make it all the way on fuel, albeit it's hard to say whether or not he'll be competitive. Again, he is basically running a modified, because most likely the crew will cut the hood and bumper off of this car, as you've seen with so many other of these repair jobs.
Or will it be a do not finish? Probably not.
Probably not. And looking down...
Probably not is the answer.
And looking down into turn 1, looks like Sheldon Males is going to try to get past George Washington. They're having a good little race down there, down the front straightaway. Another thing, though, I want to check up on is it looks like the intervals between some of those quote-unquote modified cars, as there you see Wayne Kerr coming out, as expected. No more hood or most of the front bumper. Some of these guys looked like they were pretty close to each other.
This race is really just an excuse to let all these engines breathe.
Yeah, well, except for Cletus Earnhardt, but he hasn't really gotten much of anywhere. As 50 seconds back, the distance from last place Philip McCrack to first place Bon Voyage, that translates to about half of the racetrack. between the two. So, in hindsight, probably not going to see
Battery 60%.
lap traffic be a cause of concern. So now the gap has really widened between the top 5 with Wayne Kerr having a brain fart.
Kind of got my toes curling at every one of these.
Yeah.
I'm just expecting another rear ending any second now.
It would not be completely unsurprising, as it looks like Sammy Mail's trying to break a little later. Maybe showing some signs of aggression. We might get a pass in the top 5. No way. We'll see how close Sammy Mails can get to the 88 and whether or not he tries to mount an attack. Down into the final corner. And not quite going to be close enough, so Sammy Mails still going to try to find any sort of way around the 88. Top 10 still rests with Kyle Lejeune in the 29. Chase Briscoe, though, having a solid comeback day after Daytona, running 11th right now. As we come past the halfway point of this race. Come to the halfway point of this race, rather. Briscoe tried a big send there on Kyle Lejeune. He's going to end up running wide to avoid making contact. Might be able, though, to try and do something in the S's. Of Briscoe. You can probably tell. Let's see if he tries to make a move on Kyle Lejeune. Not going to lunge it in. Murray, though, getting awfully close to that back bumper. And Ryan Pumpledick is there as well. Dick has proven this race that he can make good passes on the brakes. See some shenanigans going on back there. It looks like Jiro Fujisaki, Dennis Prunty, and even David Bazuki kind of having a little fight for position there. As actually, us crossing the halfway point at the end of this lap is going to bring us around to 10 laps to go. Something certainly quite interesting.
Wouldn't the middle of lap 10 kind of be the halfway point, though?
Technically, if you think about it, well, they need to complete 21 laps, so when they complete lap 11, they'll be... I guess technically, yeah, lap 10 would be the halfway point. So we are past the halfway point, sort of, and we'll be coming up on 10 laps to go as the field crosses the line. As we're looking at Shelby Benn here, who started in third, had an early pit stop with that first round of drivers that, you know, did that, got their hoods basically taken off, and she has yet to rebound. That 02 has been stuck in 31st this entire time, or just in the 30s. Has not been able to make her way back forward. As has been the case with a lot of these guys, is Sheldon Mails and George Washington continuing to fight. This is for a top 15 finish. Kakaga was there as well, who looks like he's been running to the back. Running to the back of. I wonder by who. Definitely wouldn't be the Lee Maddox in the 40 with a very bent up hood. As Maddox, speaking of which, is going to lunge it up the inside. Massive send. And it might actually work for him. As 10 laps now remain in this race. Maddox not quite able to complete the pass. There's a lot of drivers now racking up hood damage. It's not funny at this point. They're going to go 3 wide in the S's, or they almost did. As George Washington... As George Washington losing positions to Sheldon Mails and Chuck Aggo. The 94 car now trying to hold on against the 85. He'll move up, though, into 15th. Aggo will take 16th away from the 67. As now Lee Maddox trying to make some moves, so... Got a little bit of racing going on here in the remaining fragments of the mid-pack. We'll see if Maddox tries another ballsy send on Steve Meeks in the 24. And not quite. Going to get to his bumper. Dennis Prunty tried to send Chiro Fujisaki by the looks of it, and is going to wind up with hood damage because of that. Kyle Larson has become a rolling billboard once again. Now he might actually need to come in and get that hood situation addressed. We still, though, have not seen drivers come to pit road. I am curious to see if that is going to happen. It looks like, though, up front, Sammy Males has finally cleared Owen Ben for second place. The 88, though, going to fight back on the inside, going into a series of left-handers. We'll see what the leaders do in terms of pit stops. Now have a bit of a race on our hands here up at the front. Looks like Bon Voyage will be staying out. All the leaders going to stay out. Might have had a little bit of contact there. As rounding the final corner, I think Owen Ben's going to get the run. Yes, he does. Jet Callahan also in the vicinity here. Nobody tries anything particularly audacious.
Someone just threw a printer down the grandstand.
Interesting. Has anybody been hurt by the printer?
No, it's still rolling.
The printer is still rolling. Okay. So, interesting development here. Somebody in the front stretch grandstands presumably has decided to chuck a printer. We don't know why. We don't know how. I guess it just, I don't know, made sense. People have weird reasons for doing things. And I'm not here to judge. I'm here to tell you what the cars on the racetrack are doing. So yeah.
It seems like everyone through A got to the bottom.
Oh, that's good. Lovely to hear. I'm assuming they were a Melissa Elysia fan. Tired of getting requests to print Melissa Elysia hate mail. Presumably. I am serious, though. I really don't know what the 21 was thinking there. As, speaking of not thinking, Jet Callahan drives straight into the back of the 14. Gonna try and take third place away, but he might actually do it here. He's gonna try and run the outside into the stadium section, set himself up here for this complex of corners. If he can see the corners, he might be able to.
It's not just printers anymore, it's cheese now.
Oh, we're throwing
cheese.
Where are the... Why is security letting fans smuggle rolls of cheese into the grandstands? This makes no sense. In terms of...
It's more than just cheese. We've got shred cheese. I think someone just got fondue poured on their head.
The Green Bay Packers fans have invaded BOREDCAR, apparently. And now they're just pouring cheese on everyone because they lost. Sucks to suck. I don't know what to tell you guys. In other news, Jet Callahan's attempt to essentially ram Sammy Males for second place has failed, or third place, has, I don't want to say failed miserably, but it has most definitely failed, and, well, it's going to make driving that 19 car a lot more miserable, so, yeah, I guess it did fail miserably.
Security is now desperately fighting to stop all the food fights going on.
And Circuit of the Americas has turned into a high school cafeteria. Meanwhile, Bon Voyage, probably listening to French music right now and just, you know, enjoying a nice Sunday drive through the Texas countryside. It's all ranches full of beef cattle, but hey, it's countryside. As nearing the end of this race, certainly a hectic race. And certainly a lot of team owners that are going to be feeling the financial pinch with all the damage they're going to have to repair for next week at Dover.
Is that a footlong?
They're throwing full-on sandwiches now. Meanwhile, Ryan Pumpledick, it looks like, has inserted himself into the conversation for the top 10, has gotten clear of Wayne Tittins and Jamie McMurray, probably from some actually good racecraft. Ryan Pumpledick is one of the few drivers on the grid today that has demonstrated he knows what racecraft is. And laid on the brakes there, going to allow him to close right up to Chase Briscoe in the 92. He's moved himself into the top 10, but could be losing that position here very soon. See what Pumpledick can do. Meanwhile, behind him, Jamie McMurray has been fighting hood damage this entire race. He's still not come to pit road, so...
We're not even doing food anymore. Someone just threw a bottle of oil, someone else just threw an air fryer.
Maybe Ben Okimura did get back from the hospital and is now throwing air fryers to demonstrate that clearly everybody else doesn't own an air fryer. I'm sorry in advance. And Sheldon Males has binned his chances, presumably trying to pass Blue Spy, but he'll join the list of casualties to suffer hood damage this race.
I think someone just stole a fender from the pits. They just threw it down the grandstands too.
With 7 laps to go. This race can't get over fast enough.
I think we really need to get out of here. The grandstands are just getting angrier by the second.
Second? Interesting. I mean, I know...
Someone just threw a whole fender.
Ben doesn't have the most...
You?
Oh, we're getting parts out of... Alright, we may need to deploy the National Guard to the grandstands as this race continues to soldier on for the closing laps. The order has largely remained unchanged, even still.
I think the parts about taken off are just being stolen from pit road and being used as throwable objects now.
And Shelby Benn is back on pit road. Just sitting in pit road, it looks like she's accrued a little bit of damage, so that is the reason why. But that is probably going to put an end on her attempts at a victory. I don't really know what attempts she had after that early pit stop, which really kind of did her in. Was never quite able to recover from that, but if it wasn't made apparent now, or wasn't made apparent before, it most definitely is that she is not coming back to win this thing. Really tough break, too, because she started in 3rd place. Obviously, 3rd place is a very good starting position. And could have given her a chance to go for the lead, but... Again, whatever strategy her team was trying didn't work out, and now she's picked up some damage. Is going to be out of it. Might have an interesting little 4-way battle here. This is pretty much for 8th on through 11th between Sienna Vale, who leads this group, Kyle Lejean, Chase Briscoe, and Ryan Pumpledick. None of them, though, have really made moves in the past couple of laps.
I cannot with this crowd anymore. This is just... Now they're singing Steve Meeks is Gay.
Oh yeah, Steve Meeks is Gay, the song that was released today by Indiana artist Dave Shallett, as Ross Chastain has picked up some hood damage. Drivers... The only major headlines of this race have just been how many drivers are rear-ending each other and basically taking themselves out of contention, which there are quite a few. Everybody from Dennis Prunty on back has been on the pit road for damage repair. That's why they're a minute behind. Some of them, though, looks like are starting to catch up to one another. You can see Phil Lurseat and Maggie Spletzer. Alright, so we got a couple modifieds here that aren't, like, completely messed up. And that's always good to see. Probably actually just an indicator of how many people have lost their hoods this race, as there's Ross Chastain on pit road. See everybody else running modifieds. Cletus Earnhardt, who's just not been able to pass any of them. Walker Jones has lost his hood now. Shane Van Gisbergen as well. This was one of the drivers we were thinking could be a major threat for this race. The last such will not be the case as supercar skills not translating, at least not here at COTA. Adam Moore and then Kyle Larson rounding out the field, really just puttering around at this point. Bon Voyage now down the straightaway, 5.5 laps to go. We might need to take a commercial break here. We will wait and see. The gap now 5.7 seconds, so Owen Ben has closed it a little bit, just not very much. Probably not within striking distance to actually do anything, as somebody is now throwing a metal pipe in the grandstands. Okay.
They threw it out my window. They just threw it out my window. They took out the support and threw it out my window. And it looks like they're just getting jumped by police officers now.
Yeah, so I'd like to hope they would.
Jesus Christ, they're all just throwing pipes at my window.
They are still throwing metal pipes. Goodness gracious.
This glass is not gonna hold. I feel like my life is in danger right now.
Relax, this is Texas. Security guards are all sharpshooters.
It looks like the police officers are also responding with metal pipes.
Oh, so we're having pipe-on-pipe violence now. Shelby Ben is still on pit road. Metal pipes are raining down everywhere. And 5 laps to go. We may have to cut to commercial. Somebody has died.
Oh god. Oh my god.
Somebody is most definitely dead. Alright, we have just given up and are just spamming soundboards. As you see, Phil, or that's forward, backward now, finally coming onto pit road and getting hood cut off. He'll join the modified gang. Wherever they are. As there they are, with Wayne Kerr leading the charge. I mean, if you think about it, you're basically watching endurance racing at this point. You have 2 classes, the modifieds and the standard stock cars. Most of them with damage, but hey, still.
I can pay attention to the cars again. Looks like the party in the grandstands has finally stopped.
I see.
People realize that someone actually got hurt, so good message to them.
We wish those people that got hurt the best and a full speedy recovery. As for the people that threw metal pipes, well, we really wish nothing for you. Other than...
I have a personal grudge against whoever was throwing those pipes at me.
You can see the commentator's not very happy about it. We're coming around to 4 laps to go, though. Adam Moore has now come to pit road. He'll be the latest casualty and latest member of the modified gang. Shelby Ben, it looks like, is finally getting... They're still throwing pipes.
And someone threw a cheeseburger at me, too.
Take the cheeseburger. This gag is getting old, though, as Shelby Ben, also now joining the modified gang. She has lost only 1 lap, so... not actually that bad. I kind of thought that was going to be worse for the 0-2. But suffice to say, any chance of her gaining positions is gone and out the window. 4 laps to go. Bon Voyage with a nearly 6-second lead, and the drivers still have yet to come to pit road. As we continue to watch 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, all pretty much the same since the race start. Everything is really fanned out now. You can see the margins. Everybody is really running their own races. Jamie McMurray now on pit road. He'll finally come in to repair the hood damage, probably because so many other drivers already have. Let's go back and take a look at that, actually. How many drivers have lost their hood so far? So Wayne Kerr's won. Phil Lurseat, Maggie Spletzer, Chester Igiana, who's going to get passed by Avery Callahan here. Looks like side-by-side down the front straightaway. Might actually have some good racing on her hands.
4 open engines.
Yeah.
All in a row.
So that's 4. We mentioned Wayne Kerr. Jamie McMurray makes that number 6. And then Sheldon Males. Kyle Larson, I believe that is. Or no, that's Dennis Prunty, sorry. Still 8 cars, though. Philip McCrack. Walker Jones. Ross Chastain. Shane Van Gisbergen. Kyle Larson, Adam Moore, and then Shelby Ben. So that's 14 cars over a quarter of the field that is running without a hood right now. That goes to show how hectic this race has been. As Bon Voyage looking to just lead us around to 3 laps to go. 7 seconds the gap between him and 2nd place Owen Ben. So I think he pretty much has this race all but locked up unless for some reason we get a late race caution. Which in that case I think the race would just end under yellow anyways. Watching Jet Callahan here, running in 4th. We'll hope that he doesn't come in and pit and get his hood taken off and join the modified gang. If that's the case, the only real fight I could see maybe happening is if Sammy Males can close the gap back up to the 88 of Owen Ben. But other than that, I don't see either of those two closing the gap to Bon Voyage. And you look at the fastest laps, Owen Ben was actually faster than Voyage, but only by 1/10 of a second. Sammy Males was slower than that 88 last time by. As now coming up to 3 laps to go as Bon Voyage crosses the line, virtually uncontested and unopposed. Number 6, Air France Kia. It has been a dominant performance, has led every single lap so far today. Unless something goes terribly wrong, that is not going to change. See Voyage going past our static camera there. Just kind of, again, flipping through the grid, see where everybody's at. Very spread out as the consensus. Now almost 8 seconds the gap between Bon Voyage and Owen Ben. I don't even know if you can see this on, like, a helicopter camera. Not really. You can see Voyage now coming down into the tight braking zone. Ben is multiple corners behind at this point. And no sign... Well, there is some sign of that 6 car, but it's really just a little blip far out in front. I've been racing aggressively, but not much I think he can do at this point in terms of a fight for the win. Meanwhile, Sammy Males running in 3rd. Very good day for him. He at least managed to gain a position. And definitely going to appreciate the boost in the standings. Jet Callahan as well. Much of the same situation. Actually, Sammy Males and Jet Callahan basically made up the last row in the Daytona 500. So, looking to kind of rebound. I don't think any of them finished particularly well in the 500. I'd have to look back at the full results. So, definitely a 3rd and 4th place finish, respectively. Going to be major boosts to the points, especially with drivers like Avery Callahan, Kyle Lejean, as you saw, just rear-ended Sienna Vale. So, we're not quite done with the dumb foolery. And now, a rolling billboard for Menards as well. Ryan Pumpledick, it looks like, has amassed some rear-end damage, probably from Chase Briscoe. Pumpledick is definitely, I think, our star driver of this race so far. Has demonstrated he can actually drive on a road course. Has made a lot of great passes under braking. True road course racecraft there. So, great job by Ryan Pumpledick today. Definitely deserves some recognition for that. As Bon Voyage coming down the front straightaway to bring us into 2 laps to go. The gap now between him and Owen Ben going to actually shrink by a 1/10 of a second. That was not expected. Or I wasn't expecting that. About a 2-second difference between Owen Ben and Sammy Males. Jet Callahan much closer to the 14. And those are the only 4 cars within 10 seconds of the leader. So yeah, this has certainly been a hectic race. A lot of modifieds. Not a lot of passing. A lot of wrecks, though. So if you're into that sort of thing, as Alex Prunty comes down pit road, could we actually get a fuel mileage race? We'll wait and see. Specifically, we'll wait and see what Alex Prunty's pit stop entails. As watching the POV, and it is going to be, it looks like damage repair. Probably Alex Prunty becoming another modified. And no, it's actually going to, it looks like, just be a fuel stop. So perhaps fuel might actually be a thing that our race leaders have to worry about. Bon Voyage down the straightaway, down the back straightaway there for the second to last time. Owen Ben, Sammy Males, Jet Callahan, gotten very familiar with those guys. Whit Young in 5th. Really has gone unnoticed, but a strong drive nonetheless, even with the rear end damage on that 61 Tinder Toyota. Going to be a solid top 5 finish for the 61 machine. Jeremy Ticklefart as well had his time in the sun. Battle back here, though, could be getting interesting. Sienna Vale with bumper damage, of course, from getting rear-ended by Kyle Lejean, who is most likely a modified now, as he sits 20th. Yikes. So a lot of guys have become modifieds today. As Ryan Pumpledick, we'll see if he's Gonna try another aggressive move to get underneath the 11 of Vale. Not quite. He will get close, though. And maybe set something up in the stadium section. Looks like in the back, Wayne Titton's trying to make a move. Chuck Aggo has amassed some hood damage from rear-ending Wayne Titton's, as was most likely inferred. Many of you, so we'll see if the 85 ducks into pit road. Meanwhile, up in front, it looks like Jet Callahan coming down pit road now, so fuel might be a thing. But regardless, the white flag is out for the number 6 of Bon Voyage. Texas is very much a state that I would say embraces its Western-esque identity, and this race at Circuit of the Americas certainly reflected that more in the Wild West sense. A lot of drivers rear-ending, spinning, wrecking each other, mostly rear-ending, and that's how a lot of drivers have ended up like Kyle Larson's car here in the number 42. But Bon Voyage has had none of that happen to him whatsoever. Started this race from the pole, has led every single lap. Car looks like it is running beautifully, as he's going to come into that sharp braking zone one more time. 9 seconds the gap between him and second place Owen Ben, who, again, one of the few drivers that's kept his nose clean all day. Never really had the pace to contend with the 6 of Voyage. Never really, though, tried to force the envelope and risk getting rear-ended. Sammy Males, though, on the other hand, may have tried a little bit of a lunge. He wears some battle scars, for sure, but again, another strong drive from the 14, as you see Sienna Vale there, who is currently running in 5th because of Jet Callahan having to pit. Ryan Pumpledick as well. Chase Briscoe, Wayne Tittons, and Blue Spy may all be fighting for this spot. We'll see. They look to be quite spread out. Well, Dick, does he try a bit of a cheeky lunge? No. Nobody does. Nobody really close enough to do so. Dick, though, might get a run up the inside as you see the leaders working their way through the stadium section. So, you see Bon Voyage there leaving the section, going into the sweeping right-handers for one final time. And it was really the Wild West side of Texas that we got in this race at COTA. Bon Voyage definitely knew it was all happening, but didn't have to worry about it, and he's going to come out of this chaotic race smelling like a rose, and in a dominant fashion as well. Around the final corner, Bon Voyage says au revoir to the rest of the field, and is going to lead all the laps as he cruises to his first win of the season at Circuit of the Americas.
Good work, Voyage.
Very good effort by the 6 car. Owen Ben going to be bringing it home in second place. Very solid result, especially with a lot of the front-running competition from last week sitting near the back of the grid. See those drivers working their way around. Bon Voyage through the S's. Celebratory lap for him. Owen Ben, Sammy Males, Whit Young coming across the line in 4th, and now rounding the final corner for the 5th spot is Sienna Vale in the number 11. And Ryan Pumpledick going to get all the way up to 6th. Had some really great moments of racecraft there. And certainly a well-deserved, well-fought race for a lot of these drivers. As Blue Spy, one last lunge for the road on Wayne Tittons. It does not matter whatsoever. And it looks like the fans are all celebrating now after trying to kill each other. As you see some of the modifieds coming across the line. So yeah, nice to see that we've all gotten along in peace and harmony after breaking some people's bones. Well, Cal, this was certainly an intriguing race. Really in a lot of facets. What are your thoughts?
I'd say it was a slow deterioration.
Yeah, slow deterioration.
Most of the drivers.
Yeah, for Bon Voyage, really just a display that he is a really skilled race car driver. Got the pole in this race, showed that he could hold the position. As I believe everybody has largely crossed the line. We're waiting on, it looks like, Adam Moore and Shelby Ben, but they're going to finish where they are finishing. So you'll see the results now cycling on your screen, where exactly everybody finished in this race. And yeah, 38 cars will finish. Melissa Elysia, Chester Bennington, AJ Allmendinger-Mayas, and Frank Ford, your 4 DNFs after Elysia basically assassinated them going into that tight braking zone before the long back straight. But congratulations to Bon Voyage on simply a spectacular performance. I think he's really shown everyone today that number 6 Air France Kia is going to be a driver to watch out for. There's going to be a car to watch out for.
Anyways, 2 more things. I'm incredibly hungry, so I'm probably gonna eat that perfectly constructed cheeseburger that somehow held shape when I got thrown at me. I'm gonna do something about this kid spamming soundboards in the studio.
I would not... the soundboard guy's being a little crazy. I would not eat a cheeseburger that has managed to hold its shape despite literally flying through a broken window. But anyways, whatever Cal does is Cal's decision because we're grown adults, I guess. But on behalf of Trash Sports Week, thank you all so much for tuning in to what has certainly been an interesting race to watch. On behalf of all of us in the broadcasting booth, this is myself, Random Guy, and Cal Zimmerman, signing off. And we will see you all next week in Dover.
See ya, folks.